Hello, loved ones. Good morning. It's Sarah Oblaxfire here. I'm basking here in the glorious morning sun in front of my house, and something came through that I wanted to share with you. It has to do with expanding your containers to receive and expanding your zone of comfort to tap into the grand vision in order to then create and call into your life the one that, the life, the business, whatever it is that you are truly, truly desiring. So, many years ago, when I was still playing basketball, we were getting ready for a championship game, and it has been something that we have been looking forward ever since my freshman year. And every practice we showed up ready, focused, with our eyes on this particular championship game. It took 4 years to get there, but we never lost sight of what is that we are creating and what is that we are building. And with every single loss, we're like, okay, great. What can we learn to come back stronger, to come back better, to come back hungrier and more focused? And during the practices leading up to this championship game, one of the things that our coaches had us do was to shoot from the middle of the court and to do it in a fun way. And at the time, we were looking at each other like, why would we shoot baskets from the middle of the court? And coach said, well, you never know. Maybe you find yourself in a situation when the clock is running down, you have 2 seconds to go, and it's a tie game, and might as well practice how it feels and practice the excitement when you actually score. And I was like, oh. And we had a beautiful time. We had fun with it. And it was something that, you know, something so simple that we oftentimes forget in so-called real life, in life of business, in life of navigating stress and concerns and responsibilities. We kind of forgot to have fun, and we take it all so seriously. So I was talking to my soul sister, and something was streaming through that I then shared with one of my clients. And I was like, this is so important that I need to hop on a live stream and share with you. And that is, how do you make this big vision of yours? How do you make this future that you're stepping into? How do you make your desires a reality? You bring this feeling, you make this feeling as if it's already done, familiar. Ego is this beautiful thing we all have that, in short, I'm not going to go into too many details because I trust that if you're in my circles, you have already heard the concepts about it, so it's not foreign topic to you. But when it comes to ego, right, ego is here to keep us safe. And ego is here to remind us that every single time we try to get out of a comfort zone, every single time we try to dream a little too big and we get a little too ambitious, it's one of the things, one of the voices that comes up. It's one of the stones that's churning in your stomach. It's one of the compressions that you feel in your chest. And it's like, too scary. It's not familiar. It brings up the whole laundry list of past experiences to remind you of all the bad things and crazy things that had happened in the past when you attempted to do something crazy, simply to keep you safe, simply to survive. So when we really tap into this future and when we practice, and for some it's through meditation, for some it's through journaling, for some it's both, but intentionally practicing, expanding this zone of comfort and familiarizing ourselves with the feeling of already done beyond what is it we're actually desiring. So it's not just having a vision of, let's say, what vision are we tapping into? Let's say $1 million vision, $1 million clients, $1 million service. Let's amplify that. Let's make it a 10. So when we feel comfortable with the idea of 10, then 1 is like, simple. The idea of winning a championship, right? Not just the winning the championship, what's beyond that? the March Madness, the dancing in one of the biggest arenas and one of the biggest events, and envisioning and tapping into the energy of that. Now the championship game is not as scary anymore. For one of the clients, right, they were looking to move out of the current home that they had, and they were sitting on this idea for over a year, scared shitless to pack up their bags and move out of the space. They ended up moving not just out of their particular home, but they ended up moving to a whole new state because they were able to tap into the vision of if it's already done. So the move itself, the choice of start the first step and the next step and the next step then became so much easier, and it was already familiar, and the ego was familiar with the feeling, so it's not standing in the way anymore. So that's what I really wanted to invite you in today, to tap into your vision and allow yourself to expand that vision, your dreams, and expand your dreams and those goals and 10x your goals. And then there's the other side of the coin that I also wanted to talk to you about. It's taking radical responsibility for bringing this vision into reality, which means now investing in yourself on emotional, physical, energetic, financial levels, whatever it is that you need, because the laws of parallel return will dictate that whatever you invest in yourself to make this vision a reality will return tenfold. And when you now not only dream your big dreams, but you also take aligned action and you hold yourself accountable on the higher energetic spiritual level to make sure that steps are in alignment, and that you're willing to invest in yourself to go beyond your comfort zone, that's when things start shifting. Oftentimes when we talk about manifesting, it's the first step that people get really stuck on. It's like, but I've been dreaming, I've been envisioning, I've been desiring, I've been journaling, I've been meditating, but nothing happens. Well, nothing happens because the commitment on the inside, the action is not quite there. So, aligned action is the next step that is crucial in this process. And in order to get there, the very first step, the best step, is to simply do what scares you the most. And the next thing that scares you, and the next thing that scares you, and the next thing that scares you. So, I always share the story about the girls and I going to Europe in 2018. And in 2017, as all of this was coming together, how freaking scared I was to press this button and book those calls, because there was so much unknown. I did not get approval. I did not get support. I did not get, a lot of things that I was looking for, confirmations from my environment that yes, this is really what you should do, because no one has ever done it before in our circles. It was unknown, like, why do you need to do this? And I had to trust myself, and I had to make myself uncomfortable. And the moment I pressed this booked tickets button, everything else started to fall into place. But this was the big hurdle. And in case of, a lot of our clients of mine who are making those big quantum leaps, whether it's quadrupling their fees, whether it's moving to another state, it's the first step that it's really scary. And that's where the fear usually sets in. It's like, okay, I'll just retract to something that's familiar and I will do it the next time. And then the next time comes and it's like, I'm still scared. I'm still going to do something that's familiar. All that this does, it's sending out mixed messages that whatever that you say you're desiring, you're not willing to follow through. So you're not going to get it. You're going to get the lowest common denominator. So that's why it's important to keep expanding your vision, so that the first step, and keep expanding your comfort zone so that each step that you're making is less scary and less scary. And then the third level, so to speak, after that, you're not even scared of the scary anymore. You become familiar with it. It becomes it's a game for you. It's becomes natural to you. It's like, oh yeah, I can feel it. It's scary. Let's do it anyway. I choose to do it scared. I choose to do it even though I don't know the next 3 steps what they're going to be. I just know and trust and feel into the every next step, one step at a time. Because oftentimes, that's another part, another layer. Oftentimes, when we do have those big visions and big goals and big dreams and big desires, we have a very particular idea of how they need to look like and how they need to come into a reality. And so often we are so distracted by day to day life or so distracted by the next big idea that we don't even realize that what we were desiring is already so. And that was another conversation I just had with my soul sister the other day. We are sitting, just like right now, basking in the sun. And we're like, hey, do you remember when we were journaling about this moment and we were envisioning this moment? We were envisioning this state of being some time ago. And again, we got so busy and we got so caught up in chasing the next moment and the next moment and the next goal and the next one. But we totally forgot that, hey, this is it. This is the moment. This is the state of being. And operating now from the space of gratitude and acknowledging it. And acknowledging it, coming from a space of gratitude, that taps into, you remember when I said earlier, taking radical responsibility? Radical responsibility means that you take responsibility for everything. You know, oftentimes when we have those big dreams and have those big visions and big goals, we only envision the good side. But with every good side that comes the dark side, that comes the heavy, difficult, challenging. And it might not be physically challenging, but it brings up emotion, it brings up beliefs, it brings up stories, it brings up patterns, subconscious, all the hooks, so to speak, that have been holding us back, all the stories, all the truths that we've been trying to hide and negate and ignore that have snowballed over the years. So in order to make those big dreams a reality, we have to take responsibility for all of those shadows as well. And it's not even, resistance when it comes to resistance or fear or all those shadows. I'm not a shadow worker. I want to make it clear. But what I can tell you is that they are part of the journey. They play a very important role. Everybody has them. And understanding them and approaching them and loving them the right way can really propel you as opposed to stop you and slowing you down and holding you back. But with that, as I said, radical acceptance for all there is and radical responsibility for all there is. You can't have one without the other. And if you only try to focus on one and you're negating the other is then blocking the whole flow. It's like the river's not going to flow if you put a dam on it, and us ignoring something, trying to block it, it's stopping the flow altogether. So it is all of it, the good, the bad, the easy, the difficult. And hey Luca, how are you, neighbor? That's the aspect, even in basketball. I keep using this analogy because it's not business world, but it is so familiar too. It's so typical for athletes. We know that when we are envisioning playing the championship game, we know that years and years and years of practice, that's going to be the hardship, right? It's not fun to go to the gym and get your, ass on the line and sprint, tear your muscles, sprain your ankles, break your bones. No, it's not fun. It's part of the process if that happens. It's about getting stronger. It's about getting better. It's about overcoming those obstacles. It's about pushing your body beyond the limits. It's pushing your mind beyond the limits. And again, taking responsibility for every step of the way. Because the vision of playing in the championship arena, it's so real. It's so strong. It's that light, right? So you're not going to be stopping at every single obstacle. And the same thing here. One thing that we oftentimes do for ourselves is we create goals. Obviously, a dream is one thing. A goal is when the dream has actual deadline, right? But we are compartmentalizing ourselves now in those timelines. And we keep forgetting that everything is divine timing, and it doesn't have to be, or how do I say this? Especially in the world of entrepreneurs and in the bubble in the coaching and service providing industry, what I have noticed and I had struggled with for a long time before I realized how much of a BS that actually was, is that there was some stigma attached that if you went from 0 to a million in 9 months, in a year, that then you were somebody or something. If not, you sucked, right? Or if you, or attaching your ability to serve and attaching your ability to help somebody based on your net income and your net worth, it's a BS as well. Because at the end of the day, we ourselves are the ones who are compartmentalizing, labeling ourselves, putting ourselves in the boxes, minimizing ourselves, trying to fit into somebody else's molds. And hey, Maria, good morning. And trying to fit somebody else's expectations and try to go with the masses, right? So we don't stand up like a sore thumb. But it's really standing up as a sore thumb that when we take ownership for that, as I said, you go all in, the good, the bad, the ugly, the beautiful, the easy, the hard, yourself. There was somebody said, don't follow the masses because M is often silent. And it is so true. Being in a bubble and really doing what everybody else is doing, it's holding each and every one of us back. So tapping into the big vision, dreaming big, and owning that, even though no one else around you knows what the heck are you talking about, has no idea why would you possibly be so greedy in many conversations, right? Why would you want more than you already have? That's their story. You know what your soul desires. You know what your heart is calling you for. And the fact that you can already see it in your vision means it's already available to you. So now all you have to do is take aligned action. Get out of your own way. Get somebody who can help you get out of your own way and take aligned action. And yes, the first step is going to be scary as hell. The first step is going to feel like you're standing on a ledge and you need to leap and you don't even have parachute on your back. That's just how it is, because oftentimes you're being tested of how serious you really are about what you say you want. So it's just like going for a championship game. I want to win a championship, but you know what? I'm not going to do a series of sprints because I'm going to get too tired. It's too hard. And I'm going to go play this game because I might sprain my ankle. You can have it, right? It doesn't work that way. So, and then in the shadow work, as I mentioned, right? It doesn't have to be hard. And the things that are going to be coming up as we're tapping into the big vision and we're expanding it and we're going, working towards the goals, we're going to be recognizing the hooks that are holding us back. And a crazy, beautiful thing is that oftentimes the conversations are the same on every single level. There are same fears, same concerns, just presenting themselves differently. And it is our job over and over and over again to remove those hooks. One of the things for myself has always been this idea that it has to be hard. As a woman, there were certain rules, so to say, to follow. There were certain expectations. There were certain limits that I have been indoctrinated in, and I had witnessed them firsthand, and I had been explained to very carefully about how those things show up in real life, and I had been shown all the evidence for that for many years since ever I can remember. So that in particular took a lot of time, a lot of energy, and a lot of undoing, unlearning, releasing on my end, because my ego loved it. My ego loved the hard way. My ego loved that it had to prove itself. My ego loved the praise that was waiting for me on the other side when people would say, "Oh, wow," right? And it took me a long time, and I'm still working on it. Hey, you know what? It doesn't have to be that hard. It doesn't have to be a struggle. It doesn't have to be so difficult. It doesn't have to be such a bloody sacrificing. It can be easy, it can be graceful, it can be fun, it can be enjoyable, it can be fulfilling. So at the end of the day, when setting the goals, this is the last thing I want to leave you with. Setting the example, when you set yourself when you tap into this vision, you get to choose how that gets to materialize and how the journey to it gets to look like. So get creative, be picky, because you are the one who then dictates the next step and the next step and the next step, and how does it get to be. And yes, as we have all heard it, you can have it all, and yet this all does come with it, all of it, right? The good, the bad, the ugly. Usually we're just focusing on the good. That's radical responsibility and radical acceptance. So let me know if this resonates. If you're just joining us, I invite you to start at the beginning, because there's some juicy stuff in here. And sending you much love, much sunshine, and I will talk to you soon. Take care.